All right, we're at 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Open with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We do have an updated agenda packet before us that adds new business I. Shank hasn't asked to be moved up to the very beginning, but I think we'll do him the grace of moving him first so that he can get out of here and get back to training. Before we start that, though, before we go on to new business or the consent agenda, we'll start with our council activity reports. I don't have any committee meetings to talk about. But a couple of things that I'll just make everyone aware of. On Friday, we did the District 13 meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Megan and I did a Zoom meeting with the District 13 legislators, Lisa Dameth and Jeff Howe. Representative O'Driscoll was there. He doesn't represent us, but we just sort of had, they gave a presentation on the things that they're working on, the things that are on their agendas, and issues like that. I thought it was going to be more of a question and answer type of thing. It was really just a presentation to hear from them. Biggest thing they're working on right now is they're working with the representative from the Kimball area on revising the civics and government education guidelines. That took up the vast bulk of our conversation. I'm hoping that going forward it will be a little bit more relevant to city government needs rather than just focused on a single issue like that, but we'll see. I did, in preparation for that meeting, I looked up some of the bills that they were authoring. There were two bills that sort of popped up that I emailed them about afterwards. One is a DMV related bill authorizing anyone who operates a DMV to get a kiosk where people can come in and do like their license tab renewals and things like that. I did talk to Belinda and Jennifer about that a little bit. They said that that's a great idea, so I expressed my support in a follow-up to them. But then Jeff Howe has co-authored a bill. It's Senate File 713, if anybody cares that much. Basically what it would do is it would allow senior citizens to freeze their tax or their market valuation on their property so that they could call the Stearns County auditor and say, I don't want my value to increase anymore. I'm over 65, leave it at a fixed rate. Talked about that for a little while with staff here at City Hall and with the League of Minnesota Cities as well. My concern with that and what the League shared in that as well is that we can freeze the value on one group of folks, but the money's still got to come from somewhere, which is then just going to displace that and make property taxes on younger folks more expensive. So I did express that I at least was in opposition of that bill to them because I thought that it was going to disproportionately hurt our city. We're going to lose significant amounts of revenue when we're already running a fairly lean budget. So, and then on Sunday, there was another accident up at Lake and 55. I saw the trucks go out from my kitchen window, ended up turning on the scanner and hearing that it was up there. So I went up there, I took a bunch of pictures of it, and I sent it to MnDOT with the idea that if MnDOT doesn't see what's going on up there, they're never going to care to fix it. And I took to the Google and I emailed everybody at MnDOT that I could find. I think it was up to 15 or 16 different people. They got a nice email saying we need to fix this before somebody dies, to sum it up. And in response, I did get a follow-up from Nancy Daubenberger. I don't know, her email is, Jennifer printed off and attached it here. She's having the District 3 folks from MnDOT do some analysis of what's happening, and then we're gonna come out here and do a meeting with everyone to hear our concerns and see if we can come up with some sort of a solution. Nancy is the Deputy Commissioner of MnDOT. I would have gone all the way straight to the Commissioner, but her email wasn't public, and I didn't want to take the time for snail mail. So hopefully we can get something done at Lake and 55 along with 55 and Old 23 before that becomes really problematic. So, that's all I've got. I'll turn it over to Neil.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Megan.
I attended the Team 13 Zoom meeting as well, as Sean said. I did notice that some of our school staff was there as well, so I was going to reach out to them and see what they thought about the civics standards and how we can best support them. I also did the environmental board meeting. We discussed the upcoming city cleanup and scavenger weekend and all of that good stuff. So one more thing. Oh, and I got a tour of the parks just to kind of get a jump on things before the busy season for the Park and Tree Board. And that's about it.
Jean.
Planning Commission meeting, short one, and that item is on the agenda, so.
All right. Well,
I have no committee to report, but I did meet with Tark for a short period today at the bus company. He explained to Michael Putsky the options of supposedly forthcoming with the trailer park.
okay, great. All right, on to our department head reports from Chief Wagner.
Thank you. It should be fairly short here tonight. Coming up on the 1-year anniversary for Officer O'Brien and Officer Haig. It'll be next Tuesday. As it sits right now, both of them will be taken off probation at that time. There hasn't been anything that's popped up in their performance to really indicate a need to extend that probation. We'll be meeting with the chamber next week here at City Hall, I believe it is, to kind of discuss Town and Country Days and kind of what the plans are with that. As a department, we're starting to look at our community-based events, what we're going to do with the golf tournament this year. We'll probably make a decision sometime in the near future on that. And then, as you can see from the agenda today, we're starting to get back into, now that we're pushing further into the COVID and things opening back up, training, more on-site training for the officers in different areas that'll be beneficial for them. That's about all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief? Seeing none, Mr. Mergen.
Thank you. First of all, previous meeting I reported that we did have a failure with well number 6 that has been repaired and is back online. I was way off on my cost estimate though. It was right around $11,000 and not $6,000. It was caused by a power surge, and so the insurance is picking up approximately $7,500 of that. We did end up replacing the pump also. That would be the only item that was just due to wear and tear and that they would not cover. As Megan had mentioned, spring cleanup is April 24th, which is also in our packet. Hydrant flushing will be the 14th and the 15th of April here. Meters were read today. Let's see, park reservations. Obviously, people can go online or stop in at City Hall here for park reservations. We will start to get the parks going as soon as the ice is out. Obviously, we will be pulling the fishing pier back into its location at Veterans Park. Street sweeping will be ongoing the next several weeks. And the compost site, tentatively, weather permitting, we will try and open it Friday the 26th. If it is too wet, we will get it early next week. I have received several calls already asking when it's going to be open. So, and out at the airport, we have several items in our packet, but again, they are planning the fly-in for August the 8th. So, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Mergen? Seeing none, Mr. Overfine.
All right, I participated in 2 League of Minnesota Cities webinars last week. One of them was with Belinda. It was the Coronavirus Fiscal Recovery Fund. That's more relevant to us at this point. The other one was the Economic Recovery and Resilience in the Community. Both are very interesting, but the first one relates to the stimulus passed by the government and how it's going to be dispersed to the cities. The key takeaways from this are, number one, it's going to be more flexible than the previous one as to in terms of how you can use this money. It's going to be dispersed in 2 parts. The first part being a smaller city, which they define as any city under 50,000 people, it is given to the state, and the state distributes it to the smaller cities. So we will be getting it directly from the state. The first tranche, if you want, is going to be sometime around May, June, and the second one will be a year later. And they come up with a scale of how much they decide which, or how much to give the city, and it's capped at 75% of the budget as of January 27th, 2020. So again, the key takeaways are it's going to be dispersed in two parts. It's going to be more flexible, and because it's, they don't have the full details of it yet, once we get more information, I'll be sharing that. But for now, these are the highlights.
Thank you. Moving on then to our consent agenda, which consists of the minutes listed there in the packet, the vouchers showing up on page 2, totaling $170,000, $170,127.74, along with a number of trainings for the police department, the MWOA conference, and a refuse license. Anybody seek to have anything removed from the agenda, or is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Soini to adopt the consent agenda. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Okay, moving up, new business I, to the beginning. Mr. Schmidt. Fire Department, Fire and Rescue School. Anything you want to tell us that's not on here?
No, I sent all the information to Jennifer. I'm assuming she emailed you guys all the information from the fire department as far as their trainings that they're going to be taking.
We've got Dominic Plateau, Shane Jansen, Andrew Nienaber are interested in attending Fire and Rescue School in Moorhead on the 17th and 18th of April. Plateau and Jansen taking the search and rescue techniques and forcible entry. Nienaber will be taking the basic fire and pump operations class, $500 plus mileage, hotel accommodations, and meals. Seem to be standard trainings.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions regarding this? Is there a motion to approve or otherwise?
I'll make the motion to approve the attendance of Dominic Plato, Shane Jansen, and Andrew Niebaum to the Fire and Rescue School in Moorhead.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Soini, seconded by Brick, as stated on the action sheet, to approve the attendance of those listed to the Fire and Rescue School in Moorhead. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, moving back up then to letter A, a preliminary plat for Lewis Industries. Looks like this went through planning, they recommended approval of it.
Anybody have any questions?
We're not really changing anything over there except cleaning up a,
Strip of land that's,
strip of
yeah.
land. Yep. We received the preliminary plat submitted by Lance Lewis of Lewis Industries. The application, the report, and everything is attached there. He plans to build over the lot line but not combine them at this time because of TIF, knowing that we're going to have to do more on this in the future. With that, does anybody have any questions on it, or is there a motion to approve the preliminary plat or otherwise?
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2021-09, approving the preliminary plat entitled Subdivision of Outlot A, Paid Delco.
Second.
Motion by Soini, seconded by Hertzberg, to approve Resolution 2021-09, approving the preliminary plat entitled Subdivision of Outlot A, Paydelco. Any further discussion on that? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. On to the application for Conus Trucks Unlimited to have a raffle. The application is to hold a bingo and a raffle on April 17th, 2021 at Queen Bee's. Any questions or comments on that, or is there a motion on the issue?
I'll make the motion to approve Minnesota Lawful Gambling LG 220 application for exempt permit for the Cronus Trucks Unlimited to hold bingo and raffle on April 17th, 2021 at Queen Bee's Barn Grill Incorporated.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, to approve the Minnesota Lawful Gambling LG 220 application for exempt permit for the Cronus Ducks Unlimited to hold bingo and a raffle on April 17th, 2021 at Queen Bee's Bar and Grill. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That carries. Chief Wagner, you'd like to purchase a laptop, on to letter C.
I would if we could. So the laptop that has gone into the newest squad car is about 7 years old. The touchscreen no longer functions, and depending upon the day, we have an issue with whether or not it wants to be bright or dim, which during the day is kind of an issue. So, being it is a 7-year-old laptop, it is probably time to replace it. I was hoping to get through with it, but I don't think it's gonna work. So with that, I got 2 quotes. The last laptop we had purchased was a Dell computer. We fixed some of the things that were supposed to be on it, so, I haven't had any issues with it. It's just, we're looking for an internal Wi-Fi card that wasn't there before, or network card. So we fixed some of that, but basically the pricing's the same as the last one we purchased, so I would recommend that, seeing we've had good luck with the Dell, we stay with that. And it's about $1,000 cheaper than the Panasonic, so. It is a ruggedized computer, or a semi-rugged computer, so it is one that's made and intended for squad cars.
Question I had was going to be whether or not the Dell worked, and you answered that, so. Any questions for Paul? We're good. Anyone?
I'll make the motion to purchase a Dell Latitude 5420 for $2,502.93 from Dell.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Soini, seconded by Thielen, to approve the purchase of a Dell Latitude 5420 for $2,502.93 from Dell EMC. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That carries.
Thank you.
Okay. On scheduling a community working session, which we try to do approximately quarterly and get as many people here as we can from the community. Jennifer's listed some dates available there in the agenda for us. If we'd like to do that and invite everyone in, typically it's going to be the township, the school board, and in the past, somebody from the hospital. I don't know that I have a preference for any of those dates. I don't know what anybody else's calendar looks like.
I can't do the 22nd.
No go on the 22nd.
Yeah, Thursdays don't usually work for me in the evening, but.
I don't believe there's school on Monday, April 5th.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there is.
No, it's right after Easter.
It's Easter,
I
but
think that's too early anyhow,
Yeah.
I think so.
it's like too soon.
so,
Mhm.
right. Either of the Thursdays is fine.
Does Tuesday, the 20th work for you?
Sure.
Okay. Megan said Thursdays aren't great, so
Yeah, any of those three are fine with me.
sounds like Tuesday.
I'm open to anyone.
Okay. Someone want to make that motion?
I'll move to set a special city council community working session and special city council, what? Okay, working session for, what do we have, Tuesday, the 20th, 2021?
Yep. At 5 PM?
Yes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Brick, seconded by Soini. You said a special city council community working session. And I'm sorry, did you also include the special city council working session to follow?
Yes. Is that what it was,
On the action sheet,
Wording
it
was-
calls for, yes.
yes,
Okay.
let's do that.
So we have a motion to set a special city council community working session and a special city council working session for April 20th, 2021 at 5 and 6 PM respectively. Gene, with the addition to your second is still good?
Feel good.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? That carries. Okay, the airport T-hangar leases. Ron.
Okay, thank you. We have two contracts enclosed in your packet. The first one is a existing pilot we've had out there for quite a number of years, and he is going to move over to one of the new units. Currently, he is in one of them that is facing north. Again, the north-facing hangars are $20 less per month, and that is justifiable in the fact that they get a massive amount of ice buildup right in front of the doors in the month of February and March. We've looked at it quite a number of times, and there's really nothing, there's no good way of getting that snow out of there. And the other pilot coming in is from Kimball, and he, again, will go into one of the new units, hangar number 37. And it is William Schwant. So
Do we still have a waiting list for those units out there?
currently, we do not. No, after this, we will have one remaining unit that is vacant. So hopefully, usually spring is the time that pilots do a lot of moving, so I am anticipating that it will be filled up, hopefully by May or June.
I have a question for you, Ron.
Yes.
When you lease these out, I've read through the contract, and do you verify that they have the insurance and all the other necessary documents to lease that?
Absolutely.
Oh, good, okay. Just making sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the airport T-hangar leases between the city of Painesville and William Schwant and the city of Painesville and Thomas Salt.
I'll second.
Motion by Soini, seconded by Thielen, to approve the airport T-hangar leases between the city of Painesville and William Schwant and the city of Painesville and Thomas Salt. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? That carries. Okay, 2021 crack ceiling project.
Okay, crack ceiling, we've done this for ongoing for at least the last 20 years. We did receive two quotes. They are very competitive, $1.35 and $1.36. We have utilized both of these contractors in the past. Just last year's price was $1.40 per pound, so it actually went down a nickel, which is kind of rare to see at this time. The streets that we've targeted, obviously, are the streets that we've just overlaid and that we feel are not going to be reconstructed in the next, say, 5 to 10 years. So, and this was looked at by the Public Works, and they have recommended proceeding and recommended that we do go with Camco at $1.35 per pound.
Any questions for Ron?
I'll make the motion to accept the quote from Chemco Incorporated in the amount of $1.35 per pound of rubberized material.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Hertzberg, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Brick, thank you. Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, to accept the quote from Camco Incorporated in the amount of $1.35 per pound of rubberized material for the crack sealing project. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. Spring cleanup, Ron again.
Okay, thank you. Spring cleanup, yes, the environmental committee went through the entire packet here. And the event will again be hosted up at the Corona Civic Arena. I would like to point out there is shredding there again this year, and the Credit Union and the Perennial Bank are sponsoring that once again. Again, virtually bring anything that you have to get rid of. We handle the tires, appliances, etc., computers, TVs, basic trash. And then the county, again, will be there with their household hazardous waste collection. This is the county mobile unit, and they do accept all the paints, automotive, adhesives, cleaners, etc. And then they did also recommend that we do host the scavenger days. It always seems to be a fun event. I guess the only thing we do is print the flyers and try to put them out. And the other item that the committee did review is what should people be recycling? And on page 70 there of your agenda, the acceptable items. The committee went through that. One of the biggest items they get that they said do not want to see is aluminum foil. That is not a recyclable item. And the other big item that is not recyclable, which kind of surprised me even, is shredded paper. That is not recyclable, as recyclables all today go through a machine and it will plug up the machines. So, and this, the recycling guidelines will be in with our wellhead protection newsletter, which is going out in early to mid-April also. And most of the committee members have all volunteered to help, so it looks like we will be well-staffed up there.
Good. I have to admit, I'm one of the offenders of the shredded paper, but in my defense, I called them and asked if I could do it, and they told me I could. So that apparently changed. Any questions for Ron regarding the cleanup?
I've got one question. Do you know, Ron, are you guys gonna run it the same direction as you did last year? And the only reason I ask is I know we ended up with quite a backup at times out on Highway 55. And I was wondering if there was a way to maybe shift that entrance down like Coronas.
Yes, that was addressed at the meeting, and yes, we are actually going to have somebody out there directing traffic and bringing vehicles in to make sure they're not on 55.
Okay.
And on the other end, it's going to be a continual right through and go around the backside of the hockey rink to exit.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll be less congested in there this year.
I mean, it worked out well, just, I know the time I was up there got pretty lengthy back onto the
I
highway.
agree, we do not want traffic on 55.
Make a motion to host the spring cleanup household hazardous waste collection and scavenger days and advertise for such.
I'll second.
Oops.
Okay, we have a motion by Soini, I heard it from Paul, seconded by Paul, to host the spring cleanup, household hazardous waste collection and scavenger days and advertise for such. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. Cronus Lake Association.
All right, I was approached last week by the Coronas Lake Association. They are applying for a grant to help improve the water quality and do a study on improving water quality in the lake. And part of the grant application, they are requesting a support letter from the city, just indicating that we are in support of this grant application to help clean up the water quality. They just sent me the template to review. I just sent it to Bill Spooner, who also reviewed it. And, yeah, we just have to sign this letter and a show of support for them so they can get this grant or apply for this grant.
Okay. So we'd be looking for a motion authorizing us to send a letter to support the grant.
I've got a question for Tarek.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there a dollar figure attached to this?
Yeah, the grant they're applying for is $200,000.
Okay.
Is this also to work on the AIS problems Lake has, or?
This is specifically for the sulfur or sulfites that are,
Okay.
are in phosphorus.
So it's not dealing with the Star?
No, it's runoff chemicals primarily, phosphorus, I believe, mainly. And it's a way for them to have it go into ponds first to clean it up before it gets into the lake, and a few other, a few other things to help improve it, including studying the impact of it over a couple of years.
Well, I'll make the motion to send a letter of support for a grant that KLA is applying for the Environmental and Natural Resource Trust Fund for the improvement of water quality.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Soini, to send a letter in support of a grant that the KLA is applying for from the Environmental and Natural Resources Trust for the improvement of water quality. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none, that carries. Okay, on to old business, the irrigation system improvement project. Ron or Chuck?
Yeah, I can take that one. On May 4th, or March 4th, excuse me, we opened bids on for the wastewater irrigation system improvement project. We received 7 bids, ranging from a low of $275,566 to a high of $618,800. We received several very good bids on this. The estimate was about $388,000, so it came in well below estimate. The low bidder was submitted by Keekly Underground at Kimball. We worked with them several times. They've done other projects in the city, so they are definitely qualified to complete the project. Therefore, if the council wishes to continue to move forward, we'd recommend the contract be awarded to Keekly Underground of Kimball in the amount of $275,566. And we would hold off on issuing the notice to proceed until we get our permit from the MPCA, which is expected in early April. So.
Now, Eagle did the AMPI project, right?
Correct.
Is their bid a signal that they aren't interested anymore?
You always see a wide variability in bids. It's pretty shocking at times.
But I think it takes long enough to put together a bid. It seems like they wouldn't just be doing that for that reason. It is kind of out of line.
I think sometimes companies don't spend the appropriate amount of time putting a bid together and just throw a number out there at the end.
Chuck, could you explain what this is going to do?
Yeah, basically what this project is it's to extend the irrigation system for the wastewater plant to the new field, which is now Pivot 22, the old Stamer property that the city purchased last year. So the city will be able to discharge wastewater from the ponds onto that land.
Okay.
So this is the extension of the force main to hook up that pivot.
All right, thank you.
I guess I can add on to that. It stems from a study we did, I think it was in 2019, trying to foresee, where are we gonna go with our wastewater in the next 20 years? And we're also having some issues in wet years, trying to get rid of it. So that study identified the need for more land, and that's the reason why we purchased the Stamer property. And this, yes, as Chuck noted, this is just bringing the pipe to this site.
Okay.
Just one added comment on that. The funds for this project will come from the wastewater equipment reserve.
I'll make the motion to accept the bid of $275,566 from Keekly Underground to Kimball, Minnesota for the WWTF Irrigation System Improvement Project.
Second.
We have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Soini, to accept the bid of $275,566 from Keekly Underground in Kimball for the WWTF Irrigation System Improvement Project. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. The liquor store lease, Mr. Ludwig.
November, we met, the property negotiations teams met with Roger Teal to see what we could do to extend our lease. That expires the 1st of April. After meeting with Roger, we decided to extend it to a year and a half at the same amount of money that we're currently paying. And we did discuss with Roger at that time the possibility of getting more space, which they are currently researching. Nothing as of yet. But this would be to extend the lease through September 30th, 2022 at the same amount we've been paying for the last 5 years.
I think coming out of that property negotiations committee, there was sort of an understanding and explicit agreement that if we wanted to move the liquor store or expand, we couldn't do anything in less than really 18 months anyway.
Correct.
But we do need a short-term lease regardless of what we do at the end of this.
Right.
And Roger was nice enough to work with us and sort of locking us into 3 years, shorter duration. Any questions for Bill, or is there a motion on this?
I have a question for Bill. If some space opens up, have you already negotiated a price
No,
per foot?
no.
Okay.
I would probably, I hate to talk off the cuff, but I don't think that was discussed at all. I think it depended on the amount of space that he came up with, that he could give us, what it would take, if I remember right, Sean, from that meeting. We pay less in rent because we invested in that spot. And if we did the same again, I think that would be taken into account.
Okay.
But this would give us a year and a half to
Right.
work on that.
Okay.
Yeah, no prices were discussed at that because there was no extra space at that time.
Yeah.
And he's kind of seeing how things shake out right now per our last conversation, so.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the lease extension between the City of Painesville and Teal's Management Group from April 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022 at $18.28 plus $10 per consign electricity per month.
Okay, we have a motion by Soini. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hertzberg. To approve the lease extension between the City of Painesville and Teal's Management Group Incorporated from April 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022 at $1,828 plus $10 in sign electricity per month. Those are the same terms that the city's paying now per month. It's just a different length. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None, that carries.
Thank you.
On to staffing.
Okay, in our previous session, we had discussed the need for us to have somebody to work on the city administration side, helping out with billing, accounts payable, et cetera. And we had put together a job description, and then we were asked to go get the job description pointed, which we have done. And in going through this and trying to see who would be an ideal candidate for this, we actually would like to offer this position to Kristen already working here. And instead, we would like to seek or find somebody on a 3/4 level position to work specifically in the driver motor vehicle department. It'll be a lower or entry-level position, and we feel based on the budget, which has already been budgeted for the other person who left early on, it would still leave enough in that, along with the overtime we are expected to be able to reduce to help cover a 3/4 position for the police department, which also, Paul is in need of.
So just as a point of reference, I was here at about 4:20 today, 4:15, 4:20. I left a little bit after 4:30, and at that point, there were still 4 people waiting in line for the DMV.
Yeah, they didn't finish till 5 today.
Yeah.
And the door was closed at 4?
Yeah.
When I got here, I think I rolled in around 4:10, 4:15 maybe, and the line of customers was back to these doors.
So I guess I have a question. Is a 3/4 time DMV person going to be enough, or will Kristen still be helping with the overflow?
Well, realistically, by the time you find somebody for the position and train them, because from what I'm told, the DMV training process could take about 6 months. In the meantime, Kirsten will be supporting the DMV until this new person is 100% available. So yeah, and I was surprised to see that it is a long process until you're qualified on DMV, but we want a person that's just dedicated just to that.
And I guess my second question is, are we going to be able to find people that are, and for the right person, 3/4 time is perfect, because there's people that have kids or want to get home earlier, or, I mean, for the certain people, this is perfect, but I just hope there's some out there that want to work 3/4 time.
Yeah, we hope so too. I mean, we did it as a 3/4 primarily out of budget reasons.
And exactly, I agree with that.
Yeah, but we do need a person that can assist, especially with the motor vehicle side.
And I think one of the things as far as operational day-to-day is that the 3/4 time person would be up at the counter all the time, which would leave probably Melinda to go sit back and do the dealer work from a desk rather than being at the counter. And then, of course, she could step up to the counter when it gets busier, things of that nature. But that would allow her to do the dealer work during open hours instead of accumulating overtime afterwards.
Well, if we don't get any good applicants in 3/4, we'd have to look at full-time.
Right. But I do think that there are, Neil, as you mentioned, folks who are right now might be staying home with their kids who want to work but can't get daycare arranged, things like that. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to find someone. By 3/4, not only do we save those hours, but we also save on the benefit part of it as well, so.
And if we add up the 5 funds, that's what this is going to cost us to get to,
With the 5 funds, because as you guys know, there was another person that was working, doing payables and also working with Paul as well. This person was at a much higher level. So the difference alone, if we add up the 2 positions that we're proposing and this person that left salary, it's almost equal to those 2. The shortfall can be covered by the reduction in overtime, or even just rebalancing some of the funds where the salary comes out of.
Do you want to tell us more about reallocating the salaries? Because
Yeah.
that's on our action sheet here too, so before we make a motion on that.
Yeah, most of for the DMV person, 100% of their salary will come out of the general fund. But then if we were to reallocate, meaning that we would need more funds from somewhere to allocate for these people, the proposal was to take from my salary, which is only allocated 20% to eat up right now, and increase that by an amount. We had originally suggested 50%, but that's before we did the analysis on these salaries, and we don't need to do 50%. It might just need to be 30% or some increment of that to balance it out.
So our action sheet here proposes a reallocation of 50%, and is it your recommendation that we just leave the percentage out of there?
We could reevaluate this, and, I mean, I don't know how often you can reevaluate the allocation, but it could be adjusted as needed, because if we were to do 50% of EDAP, at some point, we will have to replenish that EDAP, and it will probably be within a year or less. Yeah.
Yep.
The recommendation from staff is as on the action sheet there to reallocate staff salaries to the correct department fund, including the city administrator's wages of what I'm hearing now is up to 50% from EDAP, the hiring of a 3/4-time customer service specialist for the DMV, transitioning Kristen Leither into the position of social media clerical assistant once we get somebody hired, and then hiring a 3/4-time police secretary. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts on that? Anybody adamantly opposed? Or even slightly opposed?
Do you want to do each of them separate?
I think we should, to be clean.
I'll make the motion to reallocate staff salaries to the correct department fund, including the city administrator's wages up to 50% from the EDAP fund.
I'll second.
Just to clarify before we go any further on that, when this talks about staff salaries, we're talking about city hall staff, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion by Soini, seconded by Brick, to reallocate staff salaries to the correct department fund, including the city administrator's wages of up to 50% from EDAP. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. Okay.
I'll make the motion to hire a 3/4-time customer service specialist for the DMV.
No second.
I have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Thielen, to hire a 3/4-time customer service specialist for the DMV. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries.
I'll make the motion to transition Kristen Leither into the new position of social media clerical assistant upon the hiring and training of the customer service specialist.
Second.
We have a motion by Soini, seconded by Hertzberg, to transition Kristen Leither into the new position of social media clerical assistant upon the hiring and training of the customer service specialist. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing, well, I will just add, I did talk to Kristen a little bit about this before our meeting. She did say she was on board with it and liked the idea, so. Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. Okay.
And I'll make the last motion to hire a 3/4-time police secretary.
A second.
We have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Thielen, to hire a 3/4-time police secretary. Any further discussion on that? None. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. All right, that concludes our old business then. We do have some informational notes in here, including the West Central Sanitation garbage rates, along with our April and May meeting schedules, which need, don't forget to add the April 20th working session to the meeting agenda. And I'm sorry, Jane and Megan, that's gonna be a long day for you.
We have the park board on the, as well, right, Ron? Park and tree on the 1st of April?
First of April, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul, you got something?
Yeah, I just got a quick question on the hiring and the staffing. Does the council want us to come back to you guys with a plan as far as what that hiring process looks like? I mean, in the past, we've kind of set who those committees are to conduct those interviews. You know, usually policies and procedures is there for a part, and, you know, or is it just, let us know who needs to be there, and then we'll come back with a recommendation?
I think in the past, we've always done it where policies and procedures,
And the department.
and the department. I don't think there's any point in doing a separate department interview prior to meeting with policies, procedures. Let's just do it all at once. And go from there. All right. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.